All right, so today we're diving into a book that basically says everything we think we know about ancient history is, well, wrong. The book is One World / One America 2, and it makes the incredible claim that our past wasn't just forgotten, it was actively and deliberately erased. And this quote right here from the very beginning of the book, it really sets the stage. The whole idea is that our picture of the past, cavemen, horse and buggy, all that stuff, it's not real history. It's a story we've been told to hide a much, much bigger truth about who our ancestors really were. Okay, so let's get into it. The book's first huge claim is that the very foundation of modern history, it's built on nothing. It takes aim at the scientific methods we rely on to date everything, arguing that they're just completely broken. So right off the bat, the book lays out this huge contrast. On one side, you have the official story we all learned in school. But on the other, you've got the book's claim that carbon dating is a bust, that our ancestors had this crazy advanced antic tech, and that they were all part of one single global civilization. And the whole argument really hinges on this one thing. The author says, look, if radiocarbon dating is flawed, and they argue that it is, then the entire timeline of human history just falls apart. Every date, every era we've ever been taught, it's all up for grabs. And that opens the door to a totally different story. So that's the big question, right? If the history we know is a lie, then what's the truth? Well, according to the book, the real story starts with a lost, unified world. So, what's the alternative? Well, the book proposes this idea of a single, ancient, global civilization. Forget isolated, primitive tribes. We're talking about a connected world where our ancestors shared knowledge, culture, and even building plans across the entire planet. And the proof, the book says, is right there in the architecture. You can see these incredible, grand buildings on different continents that look almost identical, all sharing this kind of Moorish style. The author argues that's no coincidence. It's evidence of a forgotten worldwide empire. This lost global empire has a name: Great Tartaria. The book claims it wasn't a country like we think of them, but a planet-wide civilization, and it was populated by Moors and, get this, giants. A whole civilization that, the argument goes, was just completely wiped off the maps. And it doesn't stop with Tartaria. The theory also pulls in these legendary lands. The stories of Lemuria and Atlantis? The book presents them not as myths, but as actual historical parts of this one world, each with their own super advanced spiritual and technological societies. Okay, so you're probably wondering, an advanced global society? How did they power the whole thing? I mean, where are the fossil fuels, the electrical grids? Well, the book has an answer, and it's a concept called anti-tech. Well, the book's answer is pretty wild. It says this ancient world didn't need our kind of clunky technology because they had figured out something way better: how to harvest free, wireless energy right out of the air and the earth itself. So get this. The book looks at these old cathedrals and says they weren't for worship, they were power plants. It even calls them cathedrals. The idea is that their whole design, the copper domes, the towering spires, was basically a giant machine to pull energy from the atmosphere, store it in the very bricks of the building, and then distribute it wirelessly. But it wasn't just about buildings. A huge piece of this ancient tech, according to the book, was all about crystals. In places like Atlantis and Lemuria, crystals weren't just pretty decorations. They were sophisticated pieces of technology with some unbelievable abilities. And we're not just talking pretty rocks here. The book claims this crystal tech could do some absolutely incredible stuff. Everything from healing people and moving objects with your mind to storing massive amounts of data and even controlling the weather. And if that sounds like science fiction, the author points to stuff that's happening right now, like modern scientists figuring out how to store insane amounts of data in quartz crystals. The book frames this as us just now rediscovering a tiny piece of the lost knowledge they had back then. All right, so if this incredible world with free energy and crystal tech really existed, where did it all go? What happened to it? The next part of the book tries to answer that, explaining how this civilization and its people just vanished from history. A huge part of this story, the book claims, is that our ancestors weren't, well, our size. It argues that people were commonly 6, 7, even 12 feet tall, and that the evidence for this has been systematically hidden from us.
So the obvious question is, where is the proof? Where are all the giant skeletons? Well, the book has an answer for that too. It alleges a massive cover up, pointing the finger directly at the Smithsonian Institution, accusing them of destroying thousands of giant skeletons to protect the official story of evolution.
The theory goes even deeper. It suggests that humanity didn't evolve up. We've actually devolved down. The book talks about these root races, starting with godlike beings in a golden age and slowly becoming more physical and less powerful through the ages, ending with the Atlanteans. So, how do you wipe out a global civilization of giants with free energy? The book claims it was a natural disaster, it was deliberate. It talks about these cataclysmic events called Great Resets, things like engineered worldwide mud floods or even attacks with directed energy weapons, all designed to literally bury the old world and hit the reset button on history. Okay, so after all this talk about a hidden past, the book brings it all back to today, to our future. It argues that this whole suppressed story, it's the key to what's next for humanity, and that ancient prophecies about our time are actually coming true right now. The book pulls in ancient wisdom, like prophecies from the Hopi, to argue that this isn't just a history lesson, it's a sign that we're at a major turning point, on the verge of what they call the fifth world, where we have the chance to remember and reclaim all of this lost knowledge and spiritual connection. And that's really what the book leaves you with. This whole hidden history isn't just a tragic story about what we've lost. It's presented as a roadmap for what we could become. It's a challenge to question everything we've been told about the past so that maybe, just maybe, we can rewrite our future.